When markets move, Stephen E. Orr takes the chair. From the White House to Wall Street, he's spent decades at the intersection of policy, markets, and real capital. And he's seen firsthand how institutions use data behind closed doors. Now, as founder of Quasar Markets, his mission is to pull those signals into the open so everyone can see what really moves the markets. This is Stephen E. Orr, Big Beat on Wall Street. Let's filter the future live.
Good morning, everybody. Quasar Markets Live here. Super excited about the day. Look, I think that we are getting to the point where we really kind of just understand the markets. The markets are not easy right now. And look, I've said this many times in the show that if you understand this market, you're either a liar or you just are you just don't know what you're to talk about, right? It's not easy. Look, and if anybody knows anything about me, I say this all the time, that a good captain is not made in calm seas, right? Because it takes a really strong constitution to understand exactly how to manipulate this market in a way that makes the money for you, right? And to understand how you do this. And it seems that we're seeing this almost daily, that people are over trading right now. They're doing this in a way that, I'm going to play the oil market. I saw this on a show the other day. Someone was saying all of a sudden everybody is knowledgeable about war. I mean, everybody's a master of understanding of the markets, and everybody understands. Look, I am not very good at art. I can't paint. I'm not very good at it, so I buy it. Right? I'm not very good at a few things in this life, but I am very good at trading. I'm very good because I have the pedigree in the background, and I want to bring that to you. We know working at state and the White House and all the things and the government and sports, I have that background. But you're seeing lots of people right now online talking about how they understand the markets. They know because they know how war works. They know how the president's thinking. Man, I don't even know I don't know what the president's thinking. If anybody does, we're living on a tweet by tweet market right now. We're living on an oil market we don't know what the next word out of his mouth is. We don't know what the next bomb is going to go off. If you do, you're either an insider and you're probably going to go to jail at some point, or you have a daddy who's going to write a little letter saying you're okay, which I don't agree with. Right? We saw that yesterday, right before the oil markets. We saw somebody had bought a lot of calls in those queues, and somebody had shorted, bought puts in the oil market. So we know that there's somebody that knew something before it happened, right? Hundreds of thousands of contracts went through. So something is very off here. But I've also said that this market is also very, very derivative heavy, meaning that there's more paper in the market than there is actual equity volume, right? Meaning that there's the paper around it. That's why you're seeing these big swings. And so we have to protect ourselves. And you would have been protected had you been right there, right? Had you put those VIX on, had you been the protection on, you would have been fine. And yesterday you heard from Steve Flanagan that he took some of that protection off, right? Because he made a good profit in the VIX. And that's what we looked at in order to build. So all of these things we've been talking about are actually coming to fruition. I also heard yesterday, while I was on Roxham TV, they asked me about the oil market, that, oil going to $200 a barrel, that this master of oil, and they gave me the name of the person, and I was like, no, that person the person's 22 years old. He's not a master of oil. I grew up I have oil wells. You're not a master of anything, folks, right? You're just not. And when I look at that, I always say the same thing. Okay, well, do you have the pedigree in order to understand what's really going on behind the scenes? And most of them just cannot say that to me. So, okay, so what does that all mean? How do I make money in this market? And yesterday I said this very clearly. I'm not in the market. I stepped out. I said, you know what? Let them fight it out. Let them fight over every tweet and bomb. And does this boat get through the Strait of Hormuz? And China did get one through. Okay, so the world's realigning. You see the quantum convergence that Steve Flanagan is talking about. I asked him to coin the phrase, and he did. And he was right. And so now here we are. And we've got to work through that. We got to understand that. We got to understand through that politically. Will the Democrats take over in November and January of next year? Yes, probably. We understand that, right? So does that affect the president's thought process and his speech? Yes, we're seeing that now as he's screaming about Talrico in Texas and Newsom in California. We're seeing what his rants. So we have to pay attention to that politically. We have to pay attention to policy. We have to pay attention to the markets. Yes, charts. Yes, news. But we also have to filter that out. We've got to filter down to what it boils down to and how does it really affect the markets. And right now, it's a little bit off right now. It's not an easy market to understand because literally there are forces in the markets. Even Steve Flanagan said that we haven't seen yet. They'll come to light. They always do. But we don't know them right up front. And so in watching that, I have to keep my eye on it. So what do I need to follow in the markets? And I'm going to pull that up so that we all understand exactly what it is that I'm actually looking at. So I'm going to pull up the Dixie, the dollar. Why is the dollar? Why do we keep talking about the dollar on the show? It's very simple. There we go. For you, I can all see that now, and I'll put myself in a corner so that it makes it a little bit easier for you. There you go. You can see here that the dollar has not gotten out of the range of 100 to roughly down here to 98.86. He's telling you right there, right? 140, 50. That's a $2 range, right? We're not seeing anything moving out of that. Well, why? Does anybody know? Because oil is priced in dollars. Regardless of the fighting that's going on in the Strait, regardless of Iran, regardless of China, Ukraine, you name them, regardless of all of that, they still have to buy dollars. Dollars to buy oil. Dollars to buy product. Moving product around. We also have to watch the markets, and we also have to think about Dow theory, because Dow theory is affected by oil. So if I pull up XTI, which is WTI, where could it go? Well, there it is, 100 to 91. There's your range. Now you know where the range is to play in. We've said that. There's the buyers, there's the sellers. We know that. We know where the buyers and we know where the sellers are. And so because of that, we've got a range to play in. And that makes it easier for a lot of traders, new traders, because linear regression opens that up for them. So now we know where the buyers and sellers are in the 1 hour chart. I want to pull up a 3-minute chart. This is what's scaring people, right? Because they don't know what's going to happen from 1 minute to the next of a tweet or a bomb in the Strait of Hormuz. That is what's scaring people. So I say all of this to tell you one thing. Widen out the scope of your time frame of trading. Don't keep day trading. Stop the zero DTEs. You're gambling, right? You know where the buyers, you know where the sellers are. You consciously understand that, but what you see, if you say, I can't live without knowing what the next tweet is coming out of Trump's mouth, or I don't know what's happening because maybe the parliament of Iran says something different. Well, they're going to. It's just the nature of the political world that we live in. You have to think about it from an outside perspective because it's your money that you're trading and investing. So think smarter about it. I'm going to bring him in. We need to bring him in to get more thought process behind this. Dave Conley, come on, bring in Dave Conley. And Dave.
Hey.
The world seems to be in a gambling mode, my man. Are you seeing the same thing?
Well, I think gambling has some order to it, and we're in a very chaotic situation.
Yep.
You know, gambling has rules, and we are in a ruleless, chaotic space.
The house always wins.
I just don't know who the house is right now.
And that's what we just said a few minutes ago, right? I just said that there are outside forces that I cannot see. Is it yesterday or 2 days ago we saw a reversal in the markets on Sunday night? We saw a reversal in the markets. Trump's, saying we're going to bomb the hell out of them, and then he backs off. Said, "Well, I talked to Iran's top level, and we had good peace talks, and they said no, we didn't." And somebody's telling the truth, but all of a sudden, we heard from Iran say no, but somebody bought a bunch of calls before, and then bought a bunch of puts before. They had knowledge before, right? And that's insider trading, right? And for me, that's the outside force that I cannot see. And I don't want to play in that pool if this world is not playing by the same rules that this should be playing by.
And that's, you and Jeremy Alexander Newsom, like you guys have told me over and over again that so much of the markets are based on feelings and how they move. And we are seeing massive swings, massive changes, ups and downs. Like people don't know because we don't, facts don't care about your feelings.
The market doesn't either. It's just a machine.
Right. It is just a machine. Back to this, it is a chaotic space. And it is so unpredictable, and we are being saddled with hubris, hubris of the American machine, that we are that the United States is in control. It is not.
We're not.
I said that 2 weeks ago when we started this discussion, that there's no obvious off ramp, and the inflation is baked in globally, and significant demand destruction is already happening. If we are not, to give an example, I said this last time too. Iran is winning, and because Israel and the U.S. are playing a war of violence. Iran is waging an economic war. They are controlling the world oil prices. The oil sanctions have been lifted on Iran and Russia. They're coming up on $2 billion on oil sales, more than they've done in the last year. They're controlling over 30% of the world's fertilizer production, which means that they are controlling food prices. And they are limiting the passage of what goes through the Hormuz Straits to countries that aren't bombing them. So, they are in control. And this stops when they say it stops.
Dave, we had a comment here from Roy, and thanks for watching the show. Neoliberal capitalism is retarded, saying the investor class are parasites, the working class poor, now a slave class to the owner class. Capitalism is a sick and immoral economic model because Bible-thumping Zionist retard Americans started a war with them. Well, I think there's a lot of chatter there. And the last part there, Bible-thumping Zionist retard Americans started a war with them. And I don't know Roy, but thanks Roy for the comments. But you know what? I understand his angst a little bit here. I understand what he's saying from an outside perspective. My family, my wife is from Ireland, and Europe does not look kindly on America doing what they're doing. The world's kind of looking at us and I agree with that. I don't. The problem I think that we have is that we don't see the end all be all. Why did Trump go here? He said the reason was because of oil. He said the reason there was because of uranium enrichment. He said the reason they had the bomb. The reason,
it's changed twice in one day. It changed a couple of times yesterday. So, if I could peel apart what our last comment was a little bit, is I think Americans, in particularly because of sort of not an atheistic, but not considering religious aspects of this. The Middle East is very different. It's an Eastern culture. We are a Western culture,
right?
And religiously, this is very important. This started with killing the political, both the political and the highest religious leader that is available, right? That's there, and there is, there's been real reports of this being an eschatological, I think is the word, battle, which is this end time stuff. And this is not tinfoil hat. This is for realsies. There is a battle of political leaders that, between the Judaism and their Messiah coming in and the Christians and the Muslims for their second coming. There's been a lot of talk about the Al-Aqsa Mosque. That has already been, for 40 years, 50 years, there's been 5 attempts to destroy that. and and all of this was happening, during Ramadan. And
Right.
like the Muslims were banned from going to the mosque during El-Id, which is like this really fun, amazing family time, and it's like
Right.
very offensive. So like there's been a lot of that's piece of it. But politically, Israel demands regional safety and dominance. Iran is fighting, existentially for their right to exist. And it's wrapped up in this religious ethno state and with two countries that have incredibly strong national identities. These are not situations ever known for diplomacy, and every conflict ends, with talking. That's where we are right now. Is the chaos in the markets, the issues in the markets, the things that we're seeing, and where like money is going and the flow of money. I mean, you see it more than I do, and that's sort of a question I have for you. Like, there's the 10-year note and the price of money. There's gold being, and the changes in that. So, like, these are signals, right? And maybe these will be the signals that really push this in the right direction to bring it back to the economic sense. I mean, what do you think?
Roy continues to go into saying, "You sick people care more about your investment portfolios than people's livelihoods.
Oh,
Using
no.
the housing market to get rich while contributing nothing to society is sick." I mean, obviously Roy's ranting this morning a little bit. I understand. I can feel.
Yeah, that's
And,
okay. Yeah.
He's not wrong. I mean, there's a lot of rants going on, and Roy, if you're talking about me, I can tell you 100% wrong about me. I do 100% care. I come from Southern Illinois. I do care more than you can imagine how much I care. That's why I have this show, right? Is that we have to understand the markets in general. We have to understand people and get along. So he says capitalism a disease that leads to corporatism. Capitalism is what also made us who we are as a country, and you can debate that. I can understand that.
I mean, there is a realignment that's happening, both politically, certainly like institutions, whether it's like Bretton Woods and the Jamaica Accords or UN or EU or NATO.
Right.
Like there's a big realignment, and that's also economic, right? Like we see that with AI, we see that with demographic changes,
Right.
regionalism going from globalism. Like, yes, he is articulating in I think in his own way, the feeling like this isn't working. And that is true for everyone. Like
And I
everyone
think
is sort of,
that's why we're having these feelings, right? That people are unhappy.
yeah,
Yeah,
of course.
And I understand, Roy. I mean, in a lot of ways. I mean, I'm a very happy-go-lucky kind of guy, and things just don't seem good. And when you have a president at a 34% approval rating as of yesterday morning, like that's really low. Like that means you have no mandate. You are literally stuck in a corner.
And Congress is even less.
It was a 8% approval rating. That's like,
Right.
it's terrible, right?
Right.
And Roy's going on to say lobbying is literally legal bribery.
I agree with that.
I live in DC. I'm not going to disagree with him on this. All right. But at the same time, he's right about housing. I mean, housing is a mess right now, right? And I think affordable housing is very important to people. I mean, I'll pose this to Roy in a lot of ways. Roy, do you feel like civil war is coming? Do you think that a bigger war around the world is coming? Do you feel that your feelings today? Do you feel like they're going around the world all over the place? He's not saying APEC shouldn't exist. I don't agree with that. I think every religious can have their own. They can have their own thing, right? I don't. That's silliness. But that's. I'm sorry, people. But that's gone too far. But in regards to this, I'm not political or not religious in that side of it. But I'm a Cardinal fan in baseball. There should be Cardinal fans, and we should have a Cardinal club, right? So
I just to bring it back, because I think we get in this like black and white, like APAC shouldn't exist. And like registering as foreign agent and saying that this is a lobbying arm. And more importantly, the Israeli government, and I'm saying the political class, the Israeli government has done this dreadful job of conflating the political state with a religion. And that is such a, like, that's not how I was raised. Like that's, that's creating a theocracy, and that's tough,
Yeah, and Amber now saying that a revolution in America is imminent. I don't disagree with that.
Really? Tell me why.
Yeah, I don't disagree with it, but I think the word revolution is a little strong, right? I mean, it's what does that revolution mean? Is it guns? Where we actually had like the movie Civil War come out. I don't think that'll ever happen in this country. People just don't.
I heard a comedian.
We're too busy, man, playing Xbox and Nintendo and everything. We don't. We got Netflix to worry about, right? I mean, yesterday I'm laying in bed, right, and I had to go to Amazon because I wanted to watch, MGM, and I wanted PBS documentaries, right? So I had to add it to. That was more important to me last night and getting some sleep, so that I could be on the shows and bring the power here. But I like, what, Dave, the thing is, people are talking about this now out in public, and I like this side of it because you know what, this is how investments happen. And no, we're not here just to. It's here to make other people wealthy too. And this, it's not a you versus me or them versus us. We can all live. I mean, I love living in Key West because it was one human family, and we just need to learn how to get along with each other. I never thought the country was run by people who eat babies. Of course not. We know. I mean, but you know what?
So
you made a point. Their Q was a big deal. How the hell did Q become a thing in this country? Because simple-minded people. Simple-minded people.
Well, and a tremendous amount of trust was built up in for the Republicans and Trump and his, all of that, and the MAGA coalition. Be like, look, just release the files, release the Epstein files, like let us see it all, because like we really believe that that people have all this power that we didn't elect, and it's like you're one of us, like you're supposed to be defending of us, and an enormous amount of trust was lost and is still lost by like, look, just lay it all out. We want to see this. We want to know where these pressure points are happening. We want to see behind the curtain. And then it gets released, and it's like full of like a lot of weird stuff. And I'm like, oh,
and we've let it go in a lot of ways. That I mean, if anybody really wants to understand what's really going on, go watch the movie Wag the Dog. Right?
For sure.
Right. You'll understand exactly what's happening. Right. Start a war, and it's happening. Right. We've not won. It'd be Venezuela too. I mean, we went into Venezuela.
Cuba is like living in southern Florida. Like that's a thing now, and we are out and out doing war crimes on that country. Like they are they're losing the power in their country, and the entire grid is going down. I mean, babies in the NICUs and people on on respirators, and like people going through operations. That's just that. Think about water treatment. Think about all the things that require traffic lights. All the people, and we are doing that, and that is like bonkers. Come on. And we're not even talking about that because we have bombs flying in the Middle East. So let's talk about revolution. Like America is very good at having a revolution every 2 to 4 years. Like we do it, right? And we are not seeing that happening because every time we vote for change, the same dude comes in. It's just a different party, and they do the exact same thing. Same, all of them. Obama. I worked for the Obama administration. I really believed it. It's like, God, stop bombing Afghanistan.
Right.
And so much trust has been lost. I heard a comedian say that, and just made me laugh. He said, "We're too fat to have a revolution."
That's right. Yeah.
So revolution. Like, how is it going to happen? And I beg you guys to read more about American history. We have gone through really, really ugly, dark times. Like my parents, going through just the craziness of the 60s and the 70s. Yeah. I mean, like crazy talk. So this is nothing like that. Is it going to get worse?
So? I think we do. It's may you always live at interesting times. I mean, I think we live in a very interesting time.
I think domestically, I'm talking about that. Between like like hundreds and hundreds of Americans getting, killed in riots, and the 60s between Kent State and having
I
a
think
president
yeah.
killed, and MLK and RFK, and up until
I
2000.
think, Dave, I think it was more jarring to them because the world was a little bit more quieter. It was more mom and poppy in the house and the white picket fence, and then a president gets killed. Oh my, that doesn't happen, right?
To this day, I'm going to guess. Actually, I'm going to guess. I'm going to have to go and check. There are parts of Washington, D.C. that are still damaged from like there were riots that burned down that city. And I lived there, right? Like it was, like there were riots that were for realsies. May we get there again? I hope not. I think that it's hyperbolic to say that it's revolution. It's that Americans need to feel like their voice in democracy works again, and that can happen because at least those underpinnings still exist. We have Constitution, we have laws, we have people that do care. Like there are people out there like the Masseys and the Ro Khannas. There are reasonable voices out there that are like just craving to be heard and to be saying we do work for the American people.
And that's why we have Quasar Markets Live here, and so that we can
Yes.
talk about these things, right? And with you guys as well. With I look at the future, and I'm still excited about it, Dave. I'm still excited about the future. I'm not. I think I'm I don't want to say I'm an optimist because I am a lot of times an optimist. But I still love the markets. I still love the world. I still love people. I always say this all the time. I love people, but I don't like all people. Right? But when you look at the next level of what do we need to push to do, and I've seen the points being made here. In order to push forward, we got to go through revolution. I don't agree with that. I do think that we can do this by talking, sitting down at the table and having discussions and going, what do you need and what do you want and what do we need and how can we move forward? That kind of stuff. There's another comment here. You can't predict what is going to. You can't predict what is going to happen with what the elite have been doing to children. I'm not really sure what you mean by that, but I mean, I don't see. Okay, she's asking or saying the baby eating stuff is unprecedented in known history. That's not true, actually. We've seen really bad times in the dark periods in human history, very dark. So that's not the the difference is social media.
Yeah, we are exposed to a lot more. It is a more dangerous world, but
Can't hide anymore.
It is also shocking that is like, believe it or not, we are at a relative peace on the planet. Fewer people are dying.
Relatively.
More people are being fed. There's less poverty.
That's
like
true.
there's so many positive things, but it doesn't look like it.
Right.
And
No,
it's
you're
not that
right.
there's any problems. It's not Cassandra, and it's not
Karen.
Right.
The Karens of the world. Yeah.
Right.
It's right.
It's like a yes.
Name
and.
a worse event, the Holocaust. Name a worse. I mean, you want me to go through it? I mean,
Oh my God!
I have a master's degree in it, so I can name lots of very, very bad events. So, and I don't like that side of it. I mean, Jonestown,
thousands of years in Europe. It's the most blood-soaked continent on the planet.
Middle East. I mean, the Middle Ages alone. Right. I can say Middle Ages. We're going through. It's tough to us.
Yeah.
Because we don't have anything to put that into perspective. But if we took ourselves out of this time period and said, okay, let's go live in a time period. I mean, literally, where I could say Europe in the 600s, right? 500, the Saxony time, right? Rome, right? If you weren't a Roman citizen, you were literally dead, or you were a slave, right? You were literally a slave, right?
Yeah.
And yes, they were eating everything back then.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Right. So there are many periods, but in modern times, I can tell you the killing fields. I can say the Khmer Rouge. Right. I could talk about a lot of Stalin. There's a lot of things here we could talk about.
And it, just because it's in the past, it doesn't discount how we're feeling today, right? Like
markets aren't open right now. And like I said, it should be a quiet day today as we wait on some more news. The mass slaughter of the Native Americans was bad too. Yeah, right. There's a lot of times, right? The Trail of Tears. And like I said, we can talk about a lot of period, but we don't like that because we as a country and we as a world should be moving forward from this, Dave.
Well, so let me ask you. You know, you're my money brain. Let's just say that Epic Fury is like this great success, right? We already know that inflation is kind of baked in. So, like, what's the I guess I can think of plenty of ways that this can get worse. And I think that we can say a lot of things for recession and even global depressions. But, if Epic Fury is a success, what are the things that the economy, the stock market, that our job situation, what's going to be the wind beneath that?
But I think the problem in the administration is they haven't defined what a win means.
Okay, let's just imagine, like whatever it is, it's success. Everybody's high-fiving and hugging and out in Tehran, Trump and so let's just say
George Bush landed on the aircraft carrier saying mission accomplished, right?
No, let's just say Ayatollah and Bibi and Trump are just like hugging it out, like in Istanbul,
Then the end of the world's here. I mean, it's not gonna happen, Dave.
But how? Yes, and that's what we've been sold. We're saying we have to do this, and it's going to be a success, or it's already a success. So how is this economically good? We don't return to 3 weeks ago, clearly, right? Like there's, but what how does this get better?
Laying down of arms on both sides. We don't. The Strait of Hormuz is open back up. We get back to the talking table. That's what NATO was invented. That's why the League of Nations was invented and eventually became the United Nations. We got the talking, and talking has gotten through a lot more than what people think has happened, right? Yeah. Russian deputy finance minister says the Russian Ministry of Finance is not considering changing the oil cut-off price for this year, meaning that they're going to continue to do what they're doing. So, yeah, it makes sense for Russia. Because Russia is the supplier of nat gas to Europe, right? If they cut off nat gas to Europe, then Europe's in trouble too, right?
So they're changing the cutoff price for this year. You know what? Actually, we forget Ukraine's actually still going on, and the Ukrainians this last weekend were trying to take out one of the oil and natural gas.
Now that Qatar Energy now says 2 LNG, that's liquefied natural gas trains, and 1 GTL train has been damaged at RAS Laffin. So we're hearing reports of something going on right now. So there we go. There you go, guys. I mean, we break the news right here too in front of you guys as well. So let's make sure we're all on the same page. Let's keep the comments coming. I love it. We don't hold back here. We speak our mind. We let everybody talk about what they want to talk about. And I think that's part of the problem, Dave, is that we don't let it. And I think I feel Roy's pain when people don't listen to him, right? Yeah, he may be speaking a little bit off of the cuff here, but
it's real though.
It's real. He's feeling it, so he needs to be able to chat about it, right? And that is the problem with a lot of people. They don't let them let their opinion out. And is it every time in the voting booth? It doesn't work that way, right? You need to have comments and talking points and be able to talk through the situations.
I was speaking to my, young nephew yesterday, like he's just entering mid-career in his late 20s and he has a great job, but he's like, man, affording a house was like a huge stretch, and like all of his friends can't, like it was him and his wife, working 2 big, jobs trying to do that. And most of his friends are just being crushed by debt. And they're asking like, all of this money is going to this stuff in the Middle East and wars everywhere. It's like, God, like
$200 billion is being asked for by the administration to fund the war. And the president said, I don't even care if the war is over. I still want $200 billion for the military. I mean, that's
a trillion.
After changing the name of it from Department of Defense to Department of War.
Yeah. We're gonna put $1 trillion into this, and we need $200 billion more. Really?
We should have known when he changed the name to Department of War that we were going to go to war.
Well, I think I was hearing plenty of analysts saying, well, you don't ask for $1 trillion budget if you're going to sit on your hands, and like that is I think it was one thing that maybe it was Kennedy. I don't know. One of the guys I like, listening to said, the main job of a president is to keep the leash on the gods of war. Like that's because that's what it's built to do. If you're built to do one thing, then you're going to do it.
And the guy like running the show at the Department of Defense is not somebody that really needs to be there. Now Fox News contributor.
Very strange when he's talking about like no quarter. It's like, do you know what that means? That's not good. It just unconditional surrender. It's like, do you know what that means? It's like, that's worrisome. But I don't know. I have no insider knowledge on any of that world. I just know that it doesn't feel like competent hands are at the stick. And, like if this was a Kamala Harris administration, I don't know if it would be that different. We might be in this exact same space.
Yeah,
just
interesting you say that.
Different flavor. I don't know.
I think that's a question that we should have said to her. Say, hey, how would you have done something different? She's going to say, I would have done everything different. But would she have though? I mean, the decisions are still in her hands. I mean, there was Bank of England leaders say the fog of uncertainty in which we always operate cannot be used as an excuse for doing nothing. So I expect the Bank of England to hike some, at least. I mean, we're hearing now at least 2 or 3 times this year. That makes housing even more unaffordable to people. And I feel what Roy's feeling now for people that's saying, because right now the 10 years at 4.4%. That makes the 30-year bond. For those of you who don't know, it's based on how the housing is done. So has this approached 7% again? It went over 7% again. I mean, the amount of money from 6.5% to 7% on a $500,000 home is like something like $3,000 a month extra, just because of interest rates.
So are we going into stagflation?
Oh no, you know me. I've already said that stagflation is we're already here, right?
It's baked in.
What Dave was talking about is where inflation goes up and job losses continue to fall, and that's literally the worst economy that you can be in. So I've talked about that extensively. I was in New York. I was talking about that on Wall Street several times, Schwab and all those places I'm on. That we're in stagflation, folks. But there is an argument that we're not in the 1970s stagflation of oil crunches and worse periods, right? We know. But yes, we're in a mild form of stagflation here.
Good times. And, like there was a lot of burnout that had to happen in the 70s. I don't have a strong, like I was super young on that. But, I remember gas lines and things. Now, okay. So let's put a little bit of happiness in this, like a little bit.
Please.
So the U.S. is going to feel all of this the least. Like we already have a lot of the fertilizer purchased. We're wealthier, so we high gas and high diesel prices. They're going to be the lowest of the high, but for the rest of the world, anything that we don't produce, which in COVID we found out there's a lot that we don't produce, but anything that moves by ship and plane and rail and car or truck, it's going to get expensive regardless. I haven't heard that chip companies are hurting because they're out of helium or, like high grade nickel isn't going into batteries because they don't have sulfur. Like there's adjustments happening. And if anything, like the hardest that, many countries are already starting to experience, Philippines is already saying, hey, stay home. Belgium is saying, hey, start conserving, like it's happening. It's going to be felt the least here. I don't know. That's as sunny as I can get on this.
Well, it's interesting because you're talking about countries like Norway and Sweden and those countries that have already, I would say, in a lot of ways, had a preconceived notion about this because they switched to, solar panels and electric cars and bicycles. I mean, obviously, many countries like Belgium, and most of them, ride bikes to and from work. It's a big biking country. They're prepared for all of this, right? And you talk about countries that have gone through this. World War II. I mean, Europe was a mess, right? I mean, they went through all of that. I don't think we're anywhere near any of that feeling yet. No. But we have those dictators. Don't think for a second, Dave, that if Putin had the ability to take over the world, he wouldn't do it. He would totally do it.
I can't I can't sign on to that.
Okay, that's why we're
and
here, right? I love it.
yeah, like it's, like even, want to be like
But Dave, I've got the gold
precise
chart.
in how yeah. So there's a big moves in gold, right? Is that,
So I mentioned this yesterday. If the world's falling apart, why is retail dumping gold? And I don't think retail's dumping gold; they're buying gold. I think it's the countries like Russia and China that are dumping gold in order to finance whatever they need to finance, right? Because they had huge stockpiles of gold, and now they're like, okay, if $5,500 an ounce, they're like, we'll just take that price and go along. And now we're at $4,300 an ounce, right? We're $1,200. I mean, 20% move here. There's a huge move in gold, folks. If you don't know, right, on the upside and the downside, that was crazy move. And you were seeing it now live here. And the Q's now dropping here, 582.87 now. Continue down about 1%. We're not really seeing a negative day. Dow's down 376. Yes, 5 years ago, that's a lot. Today, that's not really a lot. Today we call that a Tuesday. So, there's a lot of but that's what's going on, right? The markets are out of whack. People are not feeling comfortable. War everywhere, rumors of war. And now you've had this connotation of religion inside of it, right? That we talked about earlier. And people are not feeling comfortable right now.
No. We mentioned this last time, and I think it's worth mentioning again, is, like none of us have, really any kind of locus control or
the
agency
IDF
in
have
any of this.
detected launch of missiles from Iran. They're working to intercept now. So the Israeli Defense Fund, IDF here now is now detecting launch of missiles from Iran. So I'll put that up. So we are. This is happening live, folks. This is not. This is what it is. That's why we're here.
So we don't have any agency, like this is about hugging up your friends and family, touching grass, managing your intake of social media and news, not to bury your head in the sand, but you can, it's letting your representative know that spending another $200 billion on anything is a hard no, and
we don't have it. That's the thing. Would you realize since the beginning of the Trump administration, we have added another $2 trillion to the debt?
There is a thesis that is just killing me for myself, which is like, God, the boomers are just like the most bloodthirsty, spilling the blood of people and our young and spending us into debt and putting it on credit card for your kids' to pay. And I'm like, oh my God, the wealthiest generation of all time in human history has done this. And I'm like, this is the world that we've been given. Oh my God.
Canada has now asked oil sands firms to delay the turnarounds on Bloomberg right now, because Canada has a lot of fracking going on in that midsection of the Alberta side, and I'll post that too. So there we go. That's a big deal, folks.
What's a turnaround mean?
Meaning if an oil company is down, they prefer not to help pick them up, but instead go into bigger companies that are already set up and help building them up, getting more oil out, and not wasting time on trying to get a company up and running. Wow. All right. Well, that's now that the world feels good, Dave. There's still good points out there. I mean, there's a lot of good people that are still in the world, and I've said this a lot of time. I think 90% of the world is good. I just do. I think that we hear the fringes of society because they're the loudest.
Again, I was interviewing my nephew yesterday with Jeremy for our podcast, and it was all about, work and the future. And he is, for somebody who's actually on the bleeding edge of AI and what it's doing to big corporations, and how that's resulting, he is so optimistic by seeing the 21 and 22-year-olds coming into his giant Big Four company, and that, like it always always makes me happy that like the there's so much about the future that we can look forward to, and the people that are going to inherit it. So like
and I agree with him. I'm very optimistic about the future. I think there's a huge good future here. I just don't know, is this the turning point that we have to go through? People ask me all the time, we have to see the bad in order to see the good. Well, sometimes we don't know how good it is until we really see, well, this is not good. Right. I mean, you're hearing some of the things from people, Amber and Roy, talking about just how, and they're talking about the bad side of life, the worst, I'll say it, the shittiest side of life, right? That we don't. But you know what? I'm kind of glad about Epstein Files coming out. I mean, I'm glad because it's out in the open now, to some degree, and people can see just how bad it is. And you know what? Then we go and correct those problems. We go out and fight those people, and we destroy them. We wipe them off the face of the earth. But and the good people live, but a lot of times it's because good people don't stand up. They don't say the things that we need to say that we're saying here, right?
Look, 100%. It is so easy, bad feelings stick like Velcro and good feelings stick like Teflon. So it is a mindset, and that's true with trading and markets and investing, and it's true for yourself. If you're in a bad mood, and do you feel good about the trades that you make that day? I don't think so, and they're probably not that good a trade.
I like to win in a bad time. Steve Flanagan's now saying it's darkest before the dawn. I'll ask Steve. I know we had him on yesterday, and he gets step away for a day or two. But I mean, Steve, you've been saying all along that we have to go through this quantum convergence. Are you feeling that this is part of that quantum convergence you're talking about? Real quickly, S&P Global Manufacturing PMI now coming in at 52.4. Estimate there was 51.5. So manufacturing stepping up a little bit here in the country. Services PMI, our country is based on services that we all know, 51.1. Estimate was 52, so a little bit of a down. The composite PMI 51.4, expected 51.9. Meaning to put the two together, but it's not really, really good numbers. Anything over 50 is expansion. Anything under 50 is contraction. And I mean, 51 is like very, very low expansion. So this is not like a big win here, but I'll take anything on a negative feeling day, right?
Yes. Well, here's a positive. Mr. Newsom and I did our first Quasar show yesterday.
Oh, I'm looking forward to that.
It launched yesterday afternoon. So
you got that over to our boy Andrew, right?
Yep, we did. It went out, and it was a lot about current events. It was a lot about money and politics. It's a lot what we do here, just from the lens of solving America's problems.
Steve is now saying, "Yep, it clears and sets the table for another small positive in manufacturing." I agree with that. Yeah, I agree with that. I'll get that for everybody too as well. We appreciate everybody watching today. This is really good. I like the numbers. If you get a chance, repost, like, subscribe, tell your friends to come out and hang out with us. I love this. And I'm going to put the link out here, the speak that, there we go. Hopefully you guys got that too as well. Yeah. Then we will post how to find solving America's problems here too as well. There's the link tree, so you guys can get all of it right there. It is. There's the link to the Twitter of what Dave was talking about, and then Jeremy and Dave have their awesome podcasts. They get down to it and talk about solving America's problems, and there's the link as well. You can click on that. It's also in the comments here. You can click on that too.
And now a show on Quasar Markets.
Yeah, we love it. We love it. We love it. And growing the ecosystem for both sides here. Hearing reports now that Canada has asked. Yeah, once again. Okay. Oh, sorry. Yeah, same. Pushing it out again around the lines. And U.S. workers now more struggling than thriving, according for the first time since Gallup began tracking. 49% of workers feel like they report that they're struggling in life. Let me just pull that up. And that is what I think we're talking about today, right?
It is, I think one of the big things with a shift of traditional Democrats that went to, America First was really believing the America First. That happened in, that was the first Trump administration. And then, getting unions on board for, this second round and having, record numbers of young people and independents and even city, urban people voting in what seemed like a mandate for this administration, and then not feeling like any of it was delivered, and that's the most disappointing part about whether you agree or disagree with this administration. It's played out of feeling like people have been played, and that is a trust that I don't think is going to be rebuilt, and we are going to see that in the midterms for sure.
You think it's going to be a slaughter?
Today? Yes.
I think I've said all along this is going to be the biggest slaughter in history. Probably very good chance of the biggest slaughter in history.
We thought that there was going to be a blue wave, though, last time. A lot can happen, but I do not see anything other than losing the Senate and the House to the Democrats from the Republicans. I don't see it. I can't see it happening any other way. If it does happen a different way, something weirder has happened. And then, we could legitimately be in the world of another impeachment and removal.
We're hearing reports that there's an insider, the same person who's been winning on the oil markets, it's been putting the big trades in. We don't know who the person is yet. Has just made a huge buy on a short in oil here, $23 million play here to short oil. The person that we're talking about has won 14 times in a row with $180 million of profit. And it happened a few minutes ago. So be careful out there. And we're hearing reports today that Trump is going to make an emergency discussion of the day at 2:00.
Wow.
Possibly a ceasefire with Iran. So let's if that's the case, then markets will start to run here.
And, again, he's not in control. And the two times that the Americans have, stepped back, whether it's the 12-day war, it's always been a time to, or the negotiations that happened before that in Oman. The Iranians will not step up to that because there's no trust. You have to, in order to talk, you have to have trust. And so a ceasefire is a time to reload, is how the Iranians are seeing it. And that is, they will not, it would be ridiculous for them to stop.
Are you concerned that that they'll take this peacetime? If this is what's happening, we don't know that, folks. Rumors in the markets now, but if that's the case, do you feel like the Iranians will take the advantage of that time?
It's not advantage. They will. They're not going to, unless they're going to use the time to reload like everybody else. We have thousands and thousands of troops already in theater and a lot of more coming, and we're just waiting for them to land. You don't put tens of thousands of troops in a theater and say, just sit on your hands. That's another one. It's ridiculous. So,
well, we did that in Japan after World War II. Still there, Okinawa. We did that in Germany.
Korea. Yeah. Well, that was after terrifying time. Yes.
And they're still there, right? The bases are still there.
They're still there. But, we're moving so many troops in theater. I don't know, man.
Spot gold pushing up here a little bit. We're seeing a little bit of a pump here and on base of that news. Possibly. I don't know. We'll see.
It's going to feel like a ruse. I mean, it's really tough for a lot of people to just put themselves in the shoes of the Iranians. It's like, I wouldn't trust the Americans or the Israelis. There's no
Steve was
chance.
saying to you, Dave, that unless the regime has changed, right?
I mean, that's like saying if Trump's impeached, that everything changes underneath. We have this black and white view of bad regime and bad people. This is a multinational, multi-ethnic, multi-religious 92 million people in a country, and yeah, bad government. But as my partner who lives in Turkey says, well, you complain about your government too. So
And they do have problems, right? James is saying, how are people along this when you have Micron, who was leading performing this way? Simi's feel and look like they are razor edge to me. Yeah, I mean, they have a big problem here. People want phones, they want computers, they want Apple products, and yet the things that make those products, the people that make those products, are all on the other side of the world. It's all a problem here. We have a supply chain issue that might be getting bigger, right? I tell you what I do like. I do like buying things in bad times. When people feel the world's going to hell in a handbasket, it's usually when I like to buy.
100%. That is the time. Don't know what, but I do know, like certainly when every asset class, we talked about this weeks ago, right? When every asset class is at their all-time highs, whether it's real estate or stocks or, all the sectors, like when all of them are at our all-time highs, it's like, of course we need to have, like hopefully, some air let out of this balloon and not popping,
I was just talking to Dell. I bought a computer for the office here, and I bought a dual NVIDIA chipset.
What does that mean?
That means that 2 NVIDIA cards going into my machine, right? Wow. So that I can separate them, so I can have a lot more screens, right, or power. Because you all know here I run TVs all day long, and they're like, yeah, see, it's a good time to buy because next week or next month the prices of chipsets are going to go through the roof. Because they're going to have to, right? They're going to have to pay up for that. Inflation's going up. The manufacturing of it, people are expensive. Obviously, the products that go into it have gone up. The raw material, I should say. All of those things. And, but this to me feels like a buying opportunity, not a selling opportunity.
Yeah, I don't know if you can time it, but like I know things are very, very hot. So like it goes back to like, what do you know the most about, and what do you love, and what do you like investing in? And it's like, yeah, it has not been a buying opportunity for a long time, but when things are down, that is the time to have money on the market. As far as chips go, boy, it is the most complex supply chain on the planet, involving tens and tens of thousands of components made in dozens and dozens of countries. You're gonna have to wait for the experts on that one, but yeah.
I mean, I like, this is a weekly chart of NVIDIA. I mean, where the price is at, right? The 170-ish, and we're almost there. We're 174, and I think you're right. Why time it, right? Just know where your buys are. Don't go, as Steve Langan tells you, don't go full boat. Dip your toe in the market. And I do, what? I like this idea here. I really do. I like this buy here. I think I'm going to do it. But I also like MongoDB here. I think MongoDB is getting closer to my buy opportunity here. Now, for me, the true buy opportunity is 200. So if it has a big drop day, then I'm in. But Will Caribbean, we've talked about it, right? I've made tons of money on this show, right, on RCL, back and forth, right? People aren't stopping cruising. They're still going out, and the rich are still rich. They're still doing their thing. Take advantage of these situations, folks.
Yeah.
Netflix at 92. I mean, wow.
You can buy property in Dubai now.
I mean, the Dubai property market's crashed. Look at this. Look at Tesla. If you like Tesla at $500 a share, you sure as hell don't like it at 370.
I have a thesis on AI, and that's that there's 3 companies that can pop out of the other side of AI as winners, and it's because they have the complete stack, and that is IBM, Google, and Tesla, because they have all the data, they can make their own chips, and they have the technology backbone for it. And that everybody else is going to be a follow-on on that. Sure.
When people ask me what companies to invest in AI, I tell them the same thing. Invest in the companies that have the data.
Well, in the full stack, they can do it all, right?
They can do it all.
They can make the chips. They have the chips. They have all the data. I mean, I'm fascinated by Tesla and XAI because, like they have all the visual data and X, on top of that, Google, has all the data in the world, and IBM can make the chips and has the technology. So those are my three.
And I just mentioned Dell. I mean, there's, people want better computers. I mean, the stock's at almost an all-time high here. 52-week range, 69.90 is an all-time high, and there it is, a 166. 166 now, 66. Oh, okay, that's an ominous number. I like this. You know what, Dave? I think we do it right here. I was going to do it. I'm going to buy NVIDIA here live on the show. I'm buying NVIDIA right now. I'm going to take advantage of this this drop here.
Fantastic. Well, until Thursday.
Till Thursday. But I honestly think that I'm going to take advantage of this, Dave. I think I am going to take advantage of this and stick to it. I'm not seeing anything in this market. The Dow's only down 200 points here. Like, what the heck? It's not that big. 281. It's not that big of a deal. It was down more than that. People are chilled out. I'm going to take advantage of this right now, folks. I am going to start buying NVIDIA right now. I am still short oil, by the way, for those of you who don't know. But yesterday I did lighten up my oil position, a short oil position, on that big drop yesterday. And of course, it did push up oil again. But yeah, I'm gonna buy some NVIDIA right here. And I'm going to ignore Steve Flanagan in my head right now, but I'm going to go a little bit bigger than I expected to go on NVIDIA because I kind of like this. I kind of like this position here, and I will let you know. I'm putting a market order in. Should be almost immediately, but yeah. All right. Well, I'm going long NVIDIA.
Love it.
Tick up 600 right now. Actually pushing up higher a little bit. Q's trying to push here. Pull up a 5-second chart. Aluminum and platinum and all up. Precious metals, $43.95 now on gold. Gold is not. I mean, it's down another $11 today. Silver under $70 an ounce, 68. That's about where I said we should be, around 65 to 70, somewhere in that range. And here we are. Yeah, I like this. And if that big. Position, okay, for those of you who don't know, 174.99 is where I'm in at on NVIDIA. I just don't, I'm going to hold for a little while too on this position here. So, because their data center revenue, we just talked about that, year over year is up 68%. I mean, they know how to make money on the data centers.
Trying to remember the conversation I just had on these.
Boeing is down 1.56% now, talking about that on CNBC here. All right, Dave, we're at 10:05, my man. Top of the hour. I went a little heavy because I love this. Don't get a chance to talk like this kind of politics often. We mostly talk about stocks and the markets, and got a little heavy today. I like it. I like it a lot, actually. It's kind of what we need to do sometimes.
Well, that's what this is about, is just, seeing the intersection of money and politics. I wish I was talking about tariffs and not this. So, like my job has been busy with interviews and conversations. So, I'll be here. I'll keep on keeping on. Don't know what the president's going to say it too, but I'll be watching it live.
I don't think he knows what he's going to say it to. And on that note, Quasar Markets Live. Thanks for watching with Dave Connolly. Thank you for being on the show. Tuesdays and Thursdays for Dave, and Steve Flanagan Money Wednesdays and Fridays for all of us here. We appreciate you guys checking in and then tuning in. We know you got other things to do, and we'll make sure that we see you daily. I am going to be in St. Louis this week. I want to go see opening day in baseball. I'm excited about baseball. There is some good things out there. Going to see the Clydesdale run around the bases. I'm excited. All right. For those of us from Quasar Markets Live, we'll see you right back here.